Hello, everyone. My name is Julianne Meyer, and I am the host of Own Your Wellness. And I am excited, as usual. But today's guest, she's pretty special. She's been here before. That's how amazing she is. We needed to have her come back. Her name is Karla Mans Giroux, and she's got such an amazing story and she's up to some really amazing things. So you know what? Let's just bring her on and get chatting. Welcome back, Karla. It's so good to see you again.
Thanks, Julianne. Good to see you too.
You know, I like this background. I know you're at your sister's house, so thank you for being here with us today. It's always appreciated.
Thank you.
You know, as I mentioned, you've been on the show before, but not everybody was able to watch that episode. So I would love for you to share a bit about yourself and your own wellness journey.
Yeah, I would love to. Thank you for the opportunity. So, I am a holistic cancer health coach. I am also a metastatic breast cancer thriver. So, I've had my own journeys through cancer, and I have gotten to a point where I'm in a really, really good place. And so, my health coaching allows me to give back. So, originally, I had an early stage breast cancer diagnosis in 2003. I was 37 years old. I had a 2-year-old and a 5-year-old at the time. And that whole process was over and done in about 9 months. It was completely conventional mastectomy, chemotherapy, radiation. I did do 5 years on tamoxifen, but I just wanted to get back to life, back to taking care of my kids, back to my career, etc. And that's exactly what I did. I went back to it, and really, the further I got from that original diagnosis, the less I thought about it, and the further back of my mind it was. And it was 11 years after that original diagnosis that I got a metastatic diagnosis. So the cancer had metastasized to bone, and it was all over, all through my bones. And that was pretty devastating because I thought it was really behind me. I thought I never had to worry about it again. And I think it just proves that you can't get a diagnosis and then think it's the only time you're ever going to get it and you're done with it. I think it's really important to make lifestyle changes that are permanent in order to keep your body in the best shape possible. And it's not just body, it's mind and spirit as well. So I learned a lot with that metastatic diagnosis. And I have taken the holistic approach to my own healing. And I am now 6.5 years from that. Well, 7.5 years from the metastatic diagnosis, but 6.5 have been no evidence of disease. We've seen no sign of cancer, got it under control. It started to recede fairly immediately when I started all my lifestyle changes along with my conventional meds. And I am in active treatment, so I continue to take the conventional meds. They're hormone blocking drugs. I have zero to no, side effects, really little to nothing. And my lifestyle, I think, my body, mind, and spirit changes that I made have really supported me in getting healthy and staying healthy and keeping cancer at bay. So after a liver tumor popped up, I switched to an integrative oncologist. I made some more changes, and we got that liver tumor resolved within 6 months, and we've seen no sign of cancer since. So when you have a metastatic diagnosis, it is a stage 4, it is a terminal cancer, there's no cure. So they don't really say you're in remission, but I'm as close to being in remission as you can get with a metastatic diagnosis. Since there's been no evidence of it, it's dormant, it's stable, whatever you want to say. There's just no sign of it, and I'm going to rock that.
I love that so much. You know, there's a million thoughts that are coming into my mind, but the first one that I'm curious about is, you mentioned that, you took care of it and you thought, okay, I'm done, which I think is what most people would do. And it's like, that's behind me. That was not fun. I did it. I'm done. But you did end up getting sick again. So I'm curious, though, were there signs and symptoms and you knew, or was it kind of like a checkup, or how did you find out? And like, from stage 1 to stage 4, that's a huge jump. So I'm just kind of curious what that part was like for you.
Yeah, the actual original diagnosis wasn't just a stage 1. It was a stage 2B or almost
Okay.
3. I did have lymph node involvement. And
Oh,
so
okay.
at 37, they're like, with lymph involvement, we want to do all the chemo and all the radiation and the 5 years of tamoxifen. And at the
Yeah.
time, that was the recommendation. I think women are doing more than 5 years of tamoxifen now. So there were no real signs or symptoms leading up to it. There was not, in fact, the symptom that I did have, it never even occurred to me that it was
Mm,
cancer. So
yeah.
my leg was going numb. The front of my left leg, my shin, and I noticed that it was numb.
Hmm.
And then, I was watching it, and weeks went by, and I thought, well, it's still there. And now my leg was showing weakness because when I would work out, when I would try to do a lunge,
Hmm.
that leg couldn't hold me up. And I was working with my chiropractor to say, what do you think this might be? And he thought it was a pinched nerve. And he worked on it
Hmm.
for a few weeks. And he's like, all right, if you're not seeing any difference, you should go see an orthopedic guy. So I went and saw an orthopedic doctor, got an x-ray of my leg. Nothing wrong with my leg.
Hmm.
Orthopedic guy sends me to a neurologist. The neurologist does this excruciating nerve test on me, says, well, your nerves seem fine. Let's do an MRI and see what's going on. He does an MRI, and still, I am not thinking cancer at all. It never
Yeah.
occurred to me. And he did this on a Thursday. He said, we'll get this next week. And me on a Friday, the day after, and he said, given your history and what we see here, I've called your primary care physician and she's waiting for you to call her. So I knew immediately
Yeah.
this was not good. Given your history, right? The whole cancer thing came flooding back. And my
Yeah.
primary care physician said, I want you to come into the office, bring your husband with you. And I thought, oh, this is not good at all.
Yeah.
So sure enough, cancer was all over my bones, all through my body. And what it was doing, it was growing in such a way that it was closing up the hole in the bone where the nerve passed through. So it was a pinched nerve, just
Oh,
not
that's
something my
fascinating.
chiropractor could help me with.
Yeah. The reason why I bring that up, and it's a little bit of a selfish reason, and I think that this is good for everyone, is because you, like you said, you had no idea. It's like your leg, and you don't put two and two together. And why would you? I mean, really, why would you?
Yeah.
And for me, I was recently, and it's so weird. This is not cancer. It's not nearly as serious as that. However, I donate plasma, and they said, "Oh my gosh, your iron levels are really high," which, when they're really high, is toxic. So I discovered I have a toxic iron overload, and all these symptoms that I thought I was making up and were just like nothing. I thought maybe I changed my diet some more, and no, it has nothing to do with my diet.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So
And we really do have to pay attention, don't we?
yeah, your body is telling you something. It's, you might not know what it is, but your body is always talking to you. And I just wanted to reiterate that point because I had a similar experience. Not, I'm thinking, oh, I'm healthy, I'm fine. It's my diet, or it's not enough water, or I need to exercise more. Yeah, maybe that's true, but it had nothing to do with what was actually going on. So I'm glad that you shared that, because I think that especially with cancer, it's so common now. I mean, it's so
Yeah,
common.
unfortunately.
Yeah, but and I think I mentioned this the last time you were on the show, that my mom always said was that more people live with cancer than die from it. And that's always stuck with me. And maybe because she was my mom, I just believe
Yeah.
it.
Well, and it is true. There are a lot of people that are living with cancer, and even a stage 4 diagnosis, you can live with it. Not
Yeah.
everybody gets that opportunity, right? There are some
Mhm.
types, and some, even with breast cancer, there are
Mhm.
multiple types of breast cancer, and I just happen to have the easier type, right? Lucky me. But it's important, I think, back to your point of really listening to your body, whether it's cancer or whatever. If something feels wrong, something's not right, you need to pursue it and figure it out. And we've probably all heard stories about people who, even tried to
Mhm.
pursue, like, something's wrong and I know this isn't right. And their doctors
Yeah.
tell them, no, no, don't worry about it. You're fine. Don't give up. You
Yeah.
know your body best. You are the one that needs to push and advocate for yourself. So everybody really should feel empowered around their own health. Even though doctors are experts in their field of expertise, it
Mhm.
doesn't mean they're the expert on you. So
Ah,
push and find a new doctor
yes.
if you need to.
I say that. I love that you said that. And there's nothing wrong with saying, well, even sometimes too, it's like, okay, you might be in the normal range for something, but you're still off. You're not optimal. So maybe it's time to adjust your diet and your exercise routine, or, start feeding your mind more. I mean, there's so much more to health and wellness than broccoli and burpees. So
Exactly, I do love that. There is. It's true. Your whole intro thing is spot on. Like, the mind and the body and the spirit are so, I mean, they're interconnected. There's no
Mhm.
separating them, right? So,
Yeah.
when something is wrong in one area, the body's usually the last to know.
Yeah. That's a really, really good point. And then it starts talking and it gets louder and louder.
Till it whacks you upside the head, and yeah. It
Exactly.
it had me falling down, like, I was falling down and, my leg
Literally.
would fall right out from under me, so it's like, "Okay, something's really wrong here."
Yeah, exactly. And something else that I really admire about you is that a lot of people, and I understand this mentality completely, and I can't say how I would be if I got that kind of a diagnosis that you received, but you didn't let it take you out. You're like, okay, what am I going to do? And you made these other choices. I am not a huge fan, and this is just a side note. I'm not a huge fan of Western medicine in general. However, in conjunction with all
Mhm.
these other choices that you can make for yourself, I think it definitely has its place. I think it definitely adds to your health and well-being. Like something like cancer, you don't want to mess around with that.
Right, and you really
You
do
don't.
need to listen to your intuition and what's right for you, but, um, Western medicine does have a place,
It does.
and it can be really helpful.
Yeah.
However, if you think that it's a bad thing, then it's probably gonna be a bad thing.
Well,
So,
just
you
yeah.
you also need to, like, accept what you're gonna do and believe it's gonna do the best for you. So if you're fighting tooth and nail against chemotherapy, but you're going through it, well, what's the point then? Stop doing it, 'cause if
Uh-huh.
you don't believe it's gonna do you any good, it's not gonna do you any good. If
Yes.
you feel like it will do you good and this is the right thing to do, then embrace that, and keep the most positive mindset you possibly can to help you get through it. So I did have the experience of all conventional with my first diagnosis,
Mhm.
and I have this wonderful experience of integrative with this second diagnosis. And when I say that the meds I take have little to no side effects, I mean, I'm honest, true, little to no side effects. And I know women on the same drugs that I'm on that are
Mhm.
having horrible side effects. How do we explain that? I don't know. We're different bodies, right? Maybe there's the
Mhm.
placebo effect. Maybe my mindset is such that I believe it's doing its highest good for me and
Mhm.
doing me no harm. And I'm also putting in place a lot of really healthy lifestyle changes that are supporting me in my choice to do conventional meds.
And I love that. It's the best of both worlds, you know? And the thing too is when it comes to your health or anything, it's like and I love saying this one too, you don't go to the tire shop to buy bread. So, you don't have to get all of your answers from one place.
Right.
It
Right.
doesn't mean one or the other. You can do what resonates with you. And like you said, if you believe it's going to work, the odds greatly improve that it will. If you believe it won't, then it probably won't. What is that? Whether
Whether
you
you
think
believe
you
it
can or
will or whether
can't.
you
Yeah.
believe it won't, you
Yeah,
you're right.
exactly. It's exactly it.
Love that one too.
Me too. Oh my goodness.
Yes.
It's just it's gospel. But anyway, you have this, I mean, we're going to talk about this in a little bit, but I really want to have you touch on this now. You have something coming up soon, and I would love for you to share a little bit about that.
Great. Yes. As a holistic cancer health coach, I am certified as a radical remission teacher and coach. And so, Radical Remission is a book that was written by Dr. Kelly Turner. Kelly wrote this back in 2015. It was a New York Times bestseller. She's written a follow up book called Radical Hope, which came out in 2020. And it lays out the 10 healing factors that over 1,500 people utilized when they found their remission from cancer. And these were people in the original book, it was people that had done only alternative or people who had tried conventional failed them, sent them home on hospice, and they were really at death's door. I mean, most of the stories were about people that were just, they had no other choice but to try some alternative things, and they ended up finding remission. So when Dr. Turner interviewed these 1,500 plus people, she found 75 different healing factors, but these 10 were common among every single one of these radical remission survivors. And as a coach that's been trained by Dr. Turner to deliver this material, to do the workshops, I have great passion for it because these 10 healing factors are what I utilized in my journey to find my health, to get to this 6+ years of no evidence of disease. And I think
Oops, you're breaking up.
that they're crucial. 3 of the factors, 7. So with many of the factors being spirit and mind, not just body, it's really important to read this information and learn more about it. And I have a workshop coming up with my partner Liz Curran. In fact, we have 2 in-person opportunities. Yes, go to healthnavs.com. We have several events, but these 2 in-person workshop retreats are coming up this summer. One is in Rhinebeck, New York at Omega Institute in the middle of June. The other one is at Harmony Hill in Union, Washington, late July. So no matter where you are in the country, you can either go west or you can go east to one of these wonderful retreat locations and learn about the 10 healing factors that the survivors of the radical remission survivors, Dr. Turner called it radical because she said there wasn't anything spontaneous about these remissions.
I love that so much. You know, the thing that I love about in person is, yeah, you can read a book and that's fabulous. That's powerful. However, the way we learn as human beings is by experiencing and doing. That's how we like ingest information the best. So to be able to really have that in person, that's powerful. I'm so glad that you guys are doing that because I
Yeah,
think
we're
it's very
so
much
excited.
needed.
It's, for things to be open again that we can do it is just fantastic. And both of these locations are beautiful, really gorgeous nature settings and really relaxing. So it's a great place to go to really spend some time healing and learning about healing and being inspired by other survivors too. And I'm excited to say, I'll just drop in this little hint, it hasn't been announced yet, but Dr. Keith Block is my integrative oncologist at the Block Center for Integrative Cancer Treatment in the Chicago area. And he is going to Zoom in and do a special appearance for us to talk about the terrain panel. And this is a blood test that he does. It's nutritional labs, and it tells you what supplements you need to be taking to support your body after you've put a really good diet in place for yourself. But we will have about an hour, hour and a half with Dr. Block one day for the workshop on the last day of the workshop in June at Omega.
I love that. And I love the idea. And I'm so glad you mentioned too, after you put, put a good diet into place, because, especially in the United States, we have this idea of I'll take a pill or I'll do this and that's going to cure everything. But a lot of the times you just have to change certain things. And this is what your life looks like now. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just a matter of finding new favorites. It's if you turn it
Exactly.
into a game, then it's not woe is me. And, there's still times and it's okay to have those feelings. I mean, everybody does. But I love the idea of him coming in and because do people even know about this blood panel that they could possibly be taking? You
Not
know?
that many people do know about it because there's not that many integrative oncologists in the
Mhm.
country. And then this is a Dr. Block exclusive terrain panel. There are some other integrative oncologists or naturopaths that will do blood tests and maybe they do something similar to it. But
Mhm.
for me, it's it's being fully supported by let's just call him, he's a conventional oncologist with
Mhm.
some integrative practices. So yes, he's going to follow this standard of care. He's
Mhm.
also going to tell you, here's the best diet for you. Here's the best exercise for you. Be sure you get body and spirit involved in this endeavor. And then we do this terrain panel regularly so that we know, are you eating the right things or not? And if not,
Mhm.
here are the supplements you should be taking that are going to do you the most good. So you're not then taking supplements that you're just peeing away because you don't know if it was really what you needed or not. You're taking the supplements that
Exactly.
your body needs because you've got the data that shows you that.
Exactly. It's kind of like when somebody, I'm feeling tired, so I'm going to take some B12. Who's to say that's even causing it?
Right.
Unless you do the testing, you wouldn't even know. And I love the idea too that you do this on a fairly regular basis because as you grow and change and you're in a different place in your healing process, no matter what it is, it would be nice to know if you still need these things or if you've rebalanced something that was out of whack or if something new is a little bit off or yeah, I love that idea.
Yeah, because in the beginning, if your diet isn't quite there yet, you're going to
Mhm.
need more supplements. And then as you get your diet further along this healthier path, you may need less of those particular supplements or just different
Mhm.
ones. Excuse me.
Yeah, no, I was just thinking too about changing your diet in general and how most people, even with a diagnosis, they don't really want to change their diet. And I find that so sad because it's one of the easiest fixes. I mean, as far as least invasive and can have, was it let thy food be thy medicine?
Yes, yes, that's huge. And it is hard for people because it's family tradition. It's what you grew
Mhm.
up with. It's what you know how to make. What's so wrong with it? But it is the best place to start where you have the most control and where you can be empowered to do better.
Mhm.
And the standard American diet, think about the acronym
Yep.
SAD, it's very sad. So it is the first place to start because if you just try to take pills, it's like trying to put out a house fire with a squirt gun,
Yeah.
right? So change the diet, change the lifestyle things that are going to do the most good for you. And when you have that nutritional foundation, then the other things can come. And you mentioned it earlier, like it's about not what you're giving up, but what
Mhm.
you're adding in, what you get to do now. I always ask my clients to think about it from the perspective of it's a benefit. Look what I get to do now. Look how healthy I'm eating for myself. I get to do, better for my body and I get to eat more vegetables and I'm eating more fruit. I'm eating more real food. And as you
Mhm.
do that, then you crowd out that processed food and you crowd out those bad for you sort of things. And it doesn't mean that you have to give it up forever, but
Mhm.
most people tell me after they've gone to a healthier eating plan, they
Mhm.
feel better and their body
Exactly.
feels different. And if they go back to eating something from the old way, they feel yucky after they've eaten it. So your
It's
body will tell you.
exactly. It's so true. And then if you actually taste your food, because a lot of times we just eat without even really thinking about it, especially those unhealthy types of foods, the sweets, the salty, all of that, because we're actually eating to fulfill an emotional need. But the thing is once you have changed your taste buds and you're actually eating that food again, it doesn't taste the same.
So true. So true. And the fruits and vegetables you eat taste even better now
They
because
do.
once you break your sugar habit and you're not
Mhm.
eating all of that, let's just say it, crap that's
Yeah.
loaded with sugar and fat and salt and all those preservatives, your taste buds have a chance to really taste what real food tastes like. So blueberries can be amazing again if you just give up all that other junk.
Exactly. No, I love that. But on that note, it is time for us to go to a commercial break. So we'll be back in just a moment. All right. For those of you who are watching us live, thank you so much for joining us. As I mentioned, it is commercial time. So we'll be right back after these messages. Are you someone who is struggling to move forward because you suffered a loss? Maybe you're even finding it difficult to complete the most basic tasks. Are you looking for a way to start enjoying life again without feeling guilty or the resistance to do so? Spiritual life coach Sarah Stockham saw a need for people who haven't learned how to grieve without putting their entire lives on pause. And so she created a program that solves this issue called Choosing Life Right Now. This program is simple and you can do it on your own. If you are ready to learn how to feel your grief while still being able to smile, to honor the sacredness of what took place as a loss, and yet still continue to live with joy, and if you'd like to take care of your whole being with grace and love, then I'd like to invite you to experience her new program called Choosing Life Right Now. Sarah is currently offering her program for the promotional price of $77, but it won't stay at this price for long. To learn more, check out her website. The address is on the screen.
When drug or alcohol addiction take over, things begin to disappear. Your friends, your family, and eventually, you. Recommended by Dr. Phil, New Method Wellness can help get your life back with individualized treatment plans for dual diagnosis clients. New Method Wellness provides the most highly credentialed treatment in a safe and welcome environment. Call New Method Wellness for your free consultation and ask about our national accreditations. Together, we can put the pieces back together.
Welcome back, everyone. If you're just joining us now, my name is Julianne Meyer, and today's guest is Karla Mans Giroux, and she has been here before, and that's how amazing she is. I needed to have her back on the show. So, we were talking about diet and all of that as part of wellness. I was hoping that maybe you would talk a little bit more about the mindset and that aspect of wellness, because a lot of people will say, oh, you say that because you're healthy. It's harder when you're sick, or it's harder when you get the bad news. It's harder, it's at fill in the blank. But as somebody who's been there and is doing it, I would love for you to share about what it's been like for you.
Yeah, mindset's been a huge piece of my journey. And I've always been an optimistic person. So I've always had a pretty positive outlook on things. And, it was a devastating diagnosis to get that metastatic breast cancer diagnosis. I thought that was it, that I would die. And my kids were, preteens. And I just had no idea that that I could get this healthy and tell you that I've got 6+ years of no evidence of disease. Originally, I will give my conventional oncologist a lot of credit. He told me it was a chronic disease we could manage. So I said, all right, I am going to manage the hell out of this. And not a lot of people get that kind of news from their doctors, right? They get the really bad prognosis and the really grim statistics, and they're not given a lot of hope. Hope is really, really important, and I think one of the foundational things that we need. There's always room for hope. Hope is never a bad idea, right? So first of all, start with hope that there is a way, and then take some of your power and don't just listen to what the doctors have to say to you. There's a place for Western medicine, absolutely. But I think that wellness for the individual needs to come from themselves, from the things that they can do for themselves, for the lifestyle changes that they can make, instead of from a prescription. And mindset, we talked a little bit about it with the diet. Like, don't think about what you're giving up, think about what you're gaining. So that's one mindset piece that you can have with it. Like, you're gaining health and longevity, right? Think about what your values are. What do you value about your life, and what do you want more of in your life? And then maybe it'll be easier for you to make those changes that you currently think are hard. For me, I had to do a ton of work on myself on feeling good enough, feeling that I was worthy, right? So I spent my life striving for validation externally. I needed other people to tell me I was good enough. I needed to get the good girl or the gold star or the, whatever it was. My work validated me. Other people validated me. And I had to stop and look within and say, you know what? The only validation that matters is the validation I give myself. What I, believe. If I believe I'm worthy, and every single one of us are worthy as we are. I like to say now that I realize that I am worthy of all the love and abundance and wonderful things straight out of the shower, sopping wet and still naked. Because that's not the prettiest sight I want, right? That's not where I feel my best. But I am worthy, and at that point and at every other point. And I did a ton of work with my therapist to really look at that and to start to love myself and believe that I was enough. And we all come from a different place. We may have, different things we need to work on. And certainly there's trauma that needs to be dealt with. And it doesn't have to be big, ugly, violent trauma. If you had a childhood, you had trauma. So, there's stuff to deal with, no matter how big or how small. And that's always a good place to start. And I tell all of my coaching clients that if you're not already in therapy, you should be, because as a coach, I'm not a therapist.
Yes,
but I can tell you that as a coach and as a cancer thriver myself, therapy can do a ton of good and really help you get clearer on what you need to work on. But the mindset, the believing in yourself and your ability to make changes, believing that there is hope. There are so many great stories in the books, Radical Remission, Radical Hope, about people who were given zero hope, grim prognosis, told to go get their affairs in order. They were going to die in, 6 weeks to 6 months to 3 years, that overcame that diagnosis. And 20 years later are living and doing well. They're healthy. So the books by Dr. Turner are really inspiring and hopeful and helpful. Talking to other thrivers like myself can be really helpful and hopeful. And, it's all about putting your mind to work for you, because we know scientifically there is a mind-body connection, right? It's been proven. So why not use the mind to heal your body instead of continuing to let the mind take your body down to a unhealthy place. And we said it earlier, right? That your body's the last to know.
Yeah.
So it's typically what's going on in your mind and your spirit that's causing the issues in your tissues.
Yes, I love that saying. It's one of my favorites. You know, it's refreshing to hear you say that. And the thing that I like about what you're doing, especially with these in-person workshops, is that, part of, reframing your situation and changing your perspective, it really helps to be with people who are in similar situations and people who have walked through it, people who are walking through it. It's kind of, it reminds me of AA in the respect that, I want what you have. And so I'm going to, maybe follow in your footsteps and just so that you have that hope and you realize that, hey, you know what, my life doesn't have to look like this. Just because this is my diagnosis doesn't mean it has to be like this. I look at that person, they're still alive. They were told 6 months and they're still here. So focus on that. It's better for you, right?
Exactly. And if they can do it, you can do it, right?
Exactly.
There's no reason why you can't apply these lifestyle changes and find your healing. And when we do the in-person workshops, and we do them virtually too for people that can't make those, but it's really about coming together with other people that are on a similar path. Not everybody that comes has cancer, but there's a good percentage of the people that do. Others, autoimmune disease and ALS and whatever it might be. These healing factors are things that can really help anybody with any kind of diagnosis. But when you find this workshop and the community that comes to it, the like-minded people that want to do everything they can in their power to heal, you're also getting empathy, not just sympathy. So your friends and loved ones are going to support you and help you and do everything they can, and they have sympathy for you. But unless they've had their own diagnosis, they don't know what it's like to have a diagnosis.
Exactly. And, it's
So
also kind of nice to be around
people that
people who
come
aren't
to
trying.
these workshops.
I'm sorry, what was that?
Go ahead.
You froze. No, you froze. I was talking over you. What were you saying?
I was just saying that the people that come to the workshops really find community together and really find it helpful to have people that know what they're going through.
Yes, exactly. And what I was saying was, as I hear this huge horn, what I was saying was, it's nice to be around people who aren't trying to outdo you. Like, well, I've got this. It's more of a, like you said, a community, and it's not one upping. It's not, I've got it worse. It's, I can understand how you feel. I can understand because I'm going through something similar. And I think that that's really important as well, because then you feel heard and you feel seen.
Yeah, definitely. It is important. And I will comment too that my partner and I have created Health Navigators, and we've built a beautiful community of people that have come together that keep coming back. So many of them have been through the Radical Remission workshop, but we also have so many other things that we offer. And we find that they keep coming back in community. It's like being supported, but doing it through a book club or doing it through a healing circle or a meditation gathering or whatever it might be. We have a lot of different events that we offer, and you get to do these things with like-minded people who know what it's like to have a diagnosis and to be going through something. So I think the community aspect of the in-person retreat is really important, but it can also be found virtually as well.
Exactly. It's kind of meet where you are. If you can't make it in person, that means it doesn't have to be all or nothing.
Right.
No, I like that. And I like that with the Health Navigators, that you're doing things that are living, actually living instead of talking about what's wrong all the time.
Exactly. I do often say to people in our community and when I'm doing one-on-one coaching that you need to understand that we're all on the illness wellness continuum.
Hmm.
And we're on that continuum for our lives. But if we're facing towards wellness and focused on wellness, we're more likely to move toward wellness. If
Hmm.
you're always focused on and thinking about your illness and how sick you are and how horrible it is, then you're facing that and you're more likely to move that direction. So I say turn your back on your illness, turn your back on your diagnosis, and face your as if I am perfectly healthy and well, and go forward and keep taking one step after the other. And the healing factors from the books and
Hmm.
what we teach people and what we talk about in coaching is all about living a joyful life, your
Hmm.
best life, keeping, your mindset positive as much as you can, bringing in comedy and laughter and love and fun and creativity, all of
Hmm.
that makes for a healthy life.
And also something else that just keeps popping into my head is what I'm hearing is the lightness to what you are promoting as far as health and wellness, because I think that a lot of us, especially when we get a diagnosis, everything becomes so super serious and heavy. And, you
Yes.
know, it's easier to get better and be better when you lighten the mood.
So true.
It's like you said, just focusing on those things in those moments. And it's kind of like, when you are in a place of grief, for example, because when you are dealing with an illness, you can deal with grief. I don't care who you are. It's just kind of part of it, because it's like, mourning the loss of your life as it once was. There's all these things that just come up and nobody ever talks about that part of it. But also being able to realize it's okay to laugh. It's
Yep.
okay to not take yourself so seriously. You don't have to, life is hard enough as it is. Why make it harder? Why like trying to do everything perfectly? That's not good for your health either. It's like laugh more, have
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah. It's almost like you do need to write yourself a prescription for fun and laughter. And
Yes.
just like you would think about your workout, your fitness
Hmm.
routine, you need to think about your laughter routine. You need
Hmm.
to get that dose of happiness and laughter and love, because that releases a flood of positive hormones that can help
Hmm.
heal your body and build up your immune system. And that's really what all 10 healing factors are about, building up the immune system. Dr. Turner says that laughter, positive emotions is like rocket fuel for the immune system.
Ooh, I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember you saying that before. I love
Yeah.
that though. And it's the thing too about health and wellness that people don't really realize is that it is things like laughter that make all the difference. That is maybe the missing piece. You could be having the perfect diet, the perfect, sleeping the exact amount you need, all of that traditional stuff, but the missing piece, it could just be as simple as lightening up
Yep.
and having fun and laughing.
Yeah.
It's okay to do that.
It sure is. It sure is.
Yes. No, I love that. And I'd love for you to share again. When are these retreats?
Yes. So we have the Radical Remission in-person workshop retreat at Omega Institute in Rhinebeck, New York, on the weekend of June 17th through the 19th. And then we have another one at Harmony Hill Retreat Center in Union, Washington, the weekend of July 29th through the 31st.
Where is Union?
Union is about 45 minutes from Seattle.
Really? I
And
grew
it,
up
it is
in the suburbs
beautiful.
of
Did you?
Seattle.
Oh my
I,
gosh. So
yeah.
it overlooks the Hood Canal and Mount Hood. It's absolutely
Oh,
beautiful.
okay. Now I know where. Okay. That's up by where my parents live. Yeah, exactly. My parents live in Port Angeles, which is near there. Okay, mystery solved.
There you go. Yeah, it
And I
is a
have to say,
gorgeous location.
for those of you who are watching, it is stunning up there. It is absolutely beautiful. And the trees are huge.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
in Rhinebeck, New York at Omega, it's a bigger place and there's the spa there. You can get spa treatments. There's lots of other activities that you can do and things that you can take advantage of. In Union, Washington, it's going to be a little bit quieter, a little bit smaller. It'll just be us. There won't be any other workshops or anything going on. We'll basically have the run of the property. And in both places, the food is amazing. And it's going to be sort of a radical remission diet, if you will. We know there's no single diet that cures people, but the diet that is drastically reducing meat, wheat, sweets, and dairy. So you may get an opportunity to try some things you might not have tried before, to just experience what having a personal chef would be like.
Not a bad deal.
Not at all.
And that's that kind of eating plan, because I mean, I keep saying diet and I hate that word so much.
I do too.
But that kind of eating style tends to be good across the board. I mean, it's not just, for sickness. It helps keep you well.
It really does. And it is good for just about anybody. It's basically give up the processed foods and eat more whole foods. Eat real food. Yeah.
So when you were making those changes for yourself, did you struggle with making them, or was it kind of a no-brainer?
It was a struggle. I will say that, there were definitely tears and frustration in the first couple of months. And I tried to do it all at once. Like I had to go, okay, we're going to manage the hell out of this. We're going cold turkey on everything. And I gave up alcohol and sweets and all of that stuff. And I started exercising more. I started doing things differently in my life and detoxing my household and my beauty care products. And it was December. So the holidays were so hard because I thought, who is this woman, and how boring. She doesn't even have a glass of wine at a party anymore. But eventually, within 3 months, the cancer started receding because my leg was no longer numb and I was no longer falling down. So I knew that it was working, that what I was doing in conjunction with the meds I was taking was what I needed to be doing. And I've never looked back. I have continued to do the nutrition that supports my health. And I'm much more active, physically fit. I used to hate to sweat. Now I enjoy a good sweat session. Yeah. So, the changes were body, mind, and spirit. So taking time for me, putting myself first. I went back to my corporate job after a 3-month leave of absence, and I told them, I am not working more than 40 hours a week. And I was at a director level. And yeah, they could have said, yeah, thanks, no thanks. But I went back to a new boss and a new role, which it just worked out perfectly for me. And I was able to say that, and they supported that, and they allowed me to do that. So I set some real boundaries around my work because my job had been a very big job and very busy and international travel. And I knew I needed to put boundaries around the way I worked. And so in stepping back into a new role that was newly created, it made it a little bit easier for me to set those boundaries. But that was really important for me. And I know lots of people that have either had to quit a job or get a divorce or whatever it might be, big life changes, move across the country, whatever it is to support their health. And sometimes it takes big stuff, and other times it's just little things that you've got to change.
Exactly. And I love that idea of not holding on to something that's not working for you anymore, no matter what that is, because as far as, well, we can say for sure, we only get to live in this body one time. So, we might as well make the most out of it. And it's kind of like when people say, I'll sleep when I die. And I'm like, okay, well, then you're going to get that a lot quicker than you were expecting.
Yeah, I actually used to be one of those people, and I would say that.
Me too. I used to be like, that's why I say it, because I'm just like, oh, I was so misinformed. But now that I know better, I can do better. And, something that you said about doing everything all at once. I think it's amazing that you're able to do that, and not everybody can. And I just want to support those people that are making their changes slowly, but they're going to make them more permanent, you know?
Yeah, and I would say the same, that it's not necessarily a good idea to try to do it all at once. When you make small incremental changes over time,
Mhm.
you see your success, and you can sustain it better.
Exactly.
So if you're not the type of person that can go all in and do it all at once, don't even bother trying,
Yeah.
because the slow and steady changes also make a big difference.
Yeah, and they're all a big difference. They all, it just compounds. The more you add, the more it compounds. It's not like, I know it doesn't have to be all or nothing.
Right. Yep.
But I'm like you. I'm just kind of like, all right, time to change my life. Goodbye, everything.
Right. Right.
Hello, anew. And it
Yep.
is. It's not easy. So I appreciate that when I can, it's unusual that people like us can do that kind of a thing. So yeah, I
Yeah.
just want to, support those people that maybe aren't there.
It's the slow and steady people. Yes,
Yes, 100%.
definitely. There's a lot of benefit to that.
There is. We are almost out of time. I'm just curious if there's anything else that you'd love to add to the conversation before we end today's episode.
Yeah, I would love to add that my partner Liz Curran has a completely different story of how she came to this work and to radical remission, and she comes from the caregiver perspective. So, for those people who might be supporting somebody who's on a health
Mhm.
journey, there is a place for you too. And supporting your loved one might look like following the same nutrition plan they do and doing the
Mhm.
same sort of changes to your lifestyle that helps them make those changes. For me, it was really hard because my husband and my sons just really weren't willing to go all in like I did. And I didn't expect them to, but it was a little bit hard in the beginning. Now it's like,
Mhm.
okay, fine. But with Liz, her sister had breast cancer, and that's what brought Liz to this work. And she's really passionate about helping people see that they can be empowered to make
Mhm.
changes that make a big difference. So her sister basically just followed the conventional medical model
Mhm.
and kept getting told, no, no, nothing you can do, nothing you can do, nothing you can do. And then when Liz found the work of Dr. Turner and realized there was so much she could have done, of course,
Mhm.
she had some regret for her sister, but more importantly, she had a passion for sharing it with other people.
And I love that. And I love the idea of not taking no for an answer when it comes to your health. If there's nothing you can do, I guarantee there's something that you can do.
Yes, yes, definitely,
you
definitely.
know?
The other thing, if I can, I would just love to add that we have a lot of events that happen virtually on our Health Navigators website, healthnavs.com. There are book clubs and healing circles. We do group coaching. We do the radical remission workshops virtually online.
Mhm.
So lots of things that you can get involved with. And we offer several free events each month. So you can come and check out what the community's like and get to know Liz and I a little bit to decide if you'd like to work with us.
I love that so much. Well, Karla, that is unfortunately all the time that we have for today. I just want to say thank you so much for being here again. It's always a pleasure. And I just love what you offer to people that are watching, because not only hope, but other ideas to how that they can help themselves and own their wellness, as they say.
Yes. Thank you, Julianne. I appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you. Have a great night.
Too.
And as I mentioned, it's the end of the show. And I guess we'll see you again soon. Enjoy the rest of your week, everyone. And until next time.